Well, this is the Maruti Suzuki Victoris. Maruti Suzuki says that this car has it all. It comes with 3 engine options, a hybrid, a petrol, as well as a CNG. It also offers you lots of features like ADAS level 2, as well as you get the segment's first powered tailgate in this car. You also get features like Dolby Atmos, which is the first kind of segment to offer it. You also get adaptive cruise control along with ADAS level 2 features, cool front seats, and everybody's favorite feature these days, a massive panoramic sunroof. Well, but the big question is that, is it all enough for you to consider buying this car, or should you buy its rivals during this festive season? Yes, we'll find out all the positives and the negatives about this car today. My name is Ashish Masi. If you've come to this channel for the first time, then please do like, share and subscribe, and stay tuned on this channel for the next 13 or 14 minutes. We'll get to the bottom of the fact that does the Victoris have it all, or should you still consider buying its main rivals? Let's get started. Well, I'm sure you've already seen a lot of videos and a lot of content about the looks about this car and how it looks and how it doesn't look. Now, let me tell you that it looks like a mixture of the Brezza and the upcoming e-Vitara. Yes, if you've been waiting for the e-Vitara, if you've been waiting for the E version, the electric version of the Vitara, then this car is similar in terms of looks. The headlamp treatment, the grille treatment, it's very similar. In fact, you get almost a flush grille over here. There are some cuts over here, and there are some areas where the airflow is allowed, but it looks very similar. And you also get this multiple projector beam over here. These areas actually do work. These vents over here, the vents for the air, do actually work and improve the airflow over the tires. And if you see the side profile, this plastic part over the wheel arches is square and boxy, and again it'll be reminding you of the Brezza. When you see it at an arena dealership and you're looking at the Brezza, you'll automatically see this car and come towards it, because this one will remind you of that car. 17-inch wheels, and the back wheels also, the back tires also get disc brake, which is very good for safety. If you have a look at the side view mirrors, you get cameras in them, and because this car has that 360 camera door handle which you get, and the same locking mechanism which you get on the Brezza. And if you open it up, you'll see that the door opens almost at 90 degrees. I think it's about 80 degrees, but it's almost 90 degrees, and even the back door is almost 90 degrees. It's a wide door in the front and also at the back, which means that getting in and out of this car will be a very nice and breezy affair. It's also a tall car, it's set up quite tall, so sitting inside will not be an issue at all, and getting inside will not be an issue at all. It also looks very long from the side profile, even though its dimensions are almost similar to its main rivals, the Creta, the Hyryder, as well as its own sister, the Grand Vitara. So even then, it looks a very long car and has lots and lots of road presence. Now let me flip this car around and show you the back side, because the sunlight is coming from this angle. But what do you think of the looks on the front and the side profile? You can let me know in the comments section below. Well, let's quickly talk about the boot of this car. But before the boot, let's quickly talk about the rear end of the car. Now, from a distance, it looks as if the designers and the stylists at Maruti Suzuki just forgot about the rear. They designed the front end and the side very nicely, very neatly. And then, it was an afterthought of what they should do at the back. Now, they've got a connected beam of light, and from a distance, it will remind you of a piano, because it has that black and white element from a distance. But when you look at it close, you'll see that, it looks very bland, and it looks as if they've missed out some parts. Maybe they should have given you some lights over here. Maybe they've given you some lights. I don't know what they should have done, but it just doesn't look as flush and as complete as the design on the Grand Vitara does. Yes, I think the Grand Vitara still looks much more classy, much more flusher from the back. So that's something which I think that is missing on this car. They should have done something towards the back. But as I said before, design and the styling is always very subjective, and this is my opinion. You could have a different opinion. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. The good point though is that at the back they haven't given too much badging, so that you get an S, you get Victoris, and of course Smart Hybrid, because this is the hybrid version of the car, the mild hybrid version of the car, and no other LXI, ZXI, VXI badging as such. And the best point is the power tailgate. You open up the tailgate, you press the button, after a couple of seconds it opens up. And once it does open up, you'll see a nice and square and boxy design, lots of place to keep your odds and ends. And even the CNG version of the car has the same boot area, because remember, the CNG tank has been placed very strategically below the floor, so it's not intruding into the boot space at all. So that's all something quite good. Almost flat loading area. In fact, it is flat loading area, so you can easily pull and push your bags and trolleys and stuff like that without using too much of your back. And since it is a powered tailgate, your mother-in-law and your wife will be very happy, because every time your mother-in-law comes and stays with you, you can tell her to open the boot and close it on her own, because sometimes you have to get out of the car and do it for her, because your wife is yelling at you, because your mother-in-law is old, and stuff like that. So you can tell her it's a powered tailgate. You don't need to put any effort open it and close it on your own. You don't have to get off your car. And there's peace at home, and that means you get great breakfast, which you deserve. Anyways, the boot of this car gets 10 out of 10. Now let's show you the interiors and then take it out for a spin, because this new 1.5 or the old 1.5 with the updates is something which needs to be talked about. Well, so I'm inside the cabin now of the Victoris. Now Maruti Suzuki says this car has it all, and when you enter the cabin, then you realize that yes, they're right. The interiors, the features, it has it all. Now let me just do some nitpicking first and tell you about some negative points, because otherwise you'll say that I've taken money and I'm talking about praising this car. So the first negative I think is that the digital gauges, even though they're completely digital and all, they just don't have that same kind of sharpness that you expect from a premium product, from a flagship product. I think the design and overall structure is quite okay, but it could have been better, because this is going to be at the end of the day a flagship car. Also, I think the quality in its own right in isolation is generally quite good, and it's at par with other flagship cars in the range like the Brezza, and of course slightly better than the Brezza, but I think the Creta still has better quality overall. Some of the materials over here are very hard plastics, and that could have been slightly changed, because this, as I said, is the premier car. Now with those two small negatives or nitpicking out of the way, it's time to talk about all the positives, loaded with features. So you get automatic headlamps, you get cruise control, you get automatic climate control, you get this huge touchscreen which is really nice to operate, lots of preloaded apps like the Ghana app. Also you get Amazon Alexa, and you also get Apple CarPlay and Auto on this car. As I said, Amazon Alexa, so it's hearing what I'm saying. You also of course get Dolby.
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
You also of course get Dolby Atmos, which really does offer you very immersive sound.
This is Dolby Atmos.
And you also get this huge panoramic sunroof along with cool front seats, and of course 2 USB charging points. Lots of places to keep your odds and ends. Comfortable seats, because Maruti Suzuki does make very nice products in terms of the seat comfort, and lots of places in the door bins also. Infinity speaker setup, 8 speaker setup inside this car. And as I said, the Dolby Atmos really is something that you should check out at an arena dealership near you. Overall, I'll give the cabin of this car a strong score of 8.5 out of 10. Now one thing which I really like is this, the rocker switch, the knob over here, old school, for the volume, so you don't have to touch and fiddle around with the touchscreen to figure out where the volume should be. Overall, 8.5 out of 10. Very good in terms of the features. ADAS level 2 features also available on some variants. This one doesn't have it because it's a manual, but you get it on the hybrid and the automatics. But apart from the quality, I think it really is fantastic. The quality isn't bad, don't get me wrong. It's just that it's slightly behind the main rival and the main king of the segment, the Hyundai Creta. Now let's jump in the back seat and show you how good that really is. Well, so now I'm in the back seat of the Victoris, and as you can see that the seat comfort is quite okay, because I'm sitting at a nice 90 degree with my hip and knee. You also get place in front of the front seats where I can stretch. Now the seats are nice and wide and very supportive as well. This beige color also works quite good, and again, just like the front seat, you get a little bit of cloth. Basically you get upholstery which is in cotton, and of course you also get this faux leather or leatherette upholstery. You also get 3 headrest restraints, which is good for safety. 5-star global NCAP crash tested, and 5 stars for that. Nice and large windows, and also you get UV protection for the windows, chrome handlebars, and lots of cool design elements. So overall it's a nice place to be. You also get pockets over where you can keep your phone or your wallet and stuff like that. AC vents aren't very powerful with their throw off air, but they're quite okay. And you also get USB type C and a place to keep your wallet, odds and ends, and other paraphernalia. Overall it's a nice place. As you can see, knee room is quite decent. Headroom though could be tight for people around 6 feet if you choose the version with the full massive panoramic sunroof. If you decide to choose the one which doesn't have a sunroof, then you'll be okay, because the lining over here for the roof also adds about a couple of inches, and that eats up into the headspace. So this one is okay for people who are my height, which is 5'10", 5'11", maybe even if you're 6. But if you're a little taller than 6, then your head will definitely brush over here with the roof. Overall, the seat squab is good, but the backrest angle is slightly more, inclined rather. It should have been a little more reclined at the back. That would have added to the overall comfort, and you also get a couple of places to keep your beverages, but it's not really that bad. It's a good place to be. I'll give it a good score of 8.5 out of 10. Now I've shown you the boot already, so you won't go back and show you the boot. We'll jump in the front seat again and take it out for a spin and tell you how it is to drive. Well, so now I'm driving the Maruti Suzuki Victoris, and if you're looking for any benchmark or maybe some kind of a similarity, then I think that it's a nice mix between the Brezza and the Grand Vitara. The Grand Vitara feels a little heavier. This one, I think the engineers have done some tuning on the engine, so the lower end response of the engine is much better than it is on the Grand Vitara. And I think this engine is very good in terms of refinement. This 1.5 is supremely refined. It's brilliant in terms of the throttle inputs, and it's brilliant in terms of responsiveness at the lower end of the RPM band, and even the top end is quite good, so it does respond quite well to all your throttle inputs, and that makes it a pretty good car for driving in chock-a-block city traffic. So you don't have to change gears very often, because I think they've done a very good job with the lower end of the RPM on this car in terms of the overall responsiveness. What is also quite good is the fact that you get very good suspension setup. Now it's slightly on the firmer side, but that makes it a very good car for driving on highways, because stability is taken care of. Stability is really very good. What's also generally quite good is the overall grip from the tires, and the braking, of course, because you get all 4 disc brakes. The braking also is quite efficient and gives you a sense of great confidence when you're driving this car on the highway with your family and doing speeds in excess of 100 kph. Now, one thing I would have really enjoyed on this car is that if they had given it a 6th gear and an extra gear, because 5 gears is now the norm, but the engine starts feeling a little labored when you push it, and once it goes beyond 100 kph and it goes around 3000 rpm, 2500 rpm, it does tend to become a little stretched. So you want that extra 6th gear. That would have given it great flexibility and enhanced the overall refinement of this engine. So I think Maruti Suzuki engineers and their designers and whoever's thinking about their products should give it a 6th gear in the manual. That is something which I think would have given it the edge in the driving department. But overall also, I think for daily driving in the city, it is quite good. It feels very light and nimble. That's the word I'd use. It feels very light and very nimble in the city. It doesn't really feel like you're driving a car which is around 4.3 meters in length. It feels like you're driving a compact SUV. I mean it in a nice way, don't get me wrong. I mean it in a way that it feels quite light and nimble on its feet, which is good news for people who drive themselves. What's also quite nice is the overall steering wheel feedback. It is quite accurate, and it's a nice steering wheel. It's got the right amount of weight in it. It's near to heavy that you feel very labored and feel very stressed driving it, and neither is it so light that you feel Arey baap re, I'm not getting any feedback from the steering wheel, and you don't know what's happening as speeds increase. So it's got the right mix of weight in it, neither too heavy, neither too firm, and that also gives you a good sensation of driving. Ride quality, as I said, is slightly on the firmer side, so some of the bumps and potholes and some of the really bad ruts on the road might just make their way into the cabin, but on the whole it is well sorted and it feels quite good. Visibility, the front visibility, you can see the bonnet line, but this mirror and this protruding infotainment system, they eat up into a little bit of space. It's not too much, but sometimes you can feel that it eats up in a little bit of space, but overall it is quite good. The bonnet line is visible. Side view mirrors again could have been a little chunkier. They're very tiny mirrors, and I think that Maruti should have given you slightly chunkier mirrors, but on the whole it is quite okay and acceptable for the kind of car this is and for the kind of category that this car is selling in. And what else is there which I can talk about? Is it enough with 105 bhp? Well, it feels quite okay and feels quite sufficient. We haven't driven it with a full payload as yet, but I think it should be quite okay, because I was driving in the morning with my cameraman and our equipment and our bags, and the car felt quite good at speeds in excess of 100 kph. As I said before, the refinement levels are good, and the gearbox also quality is very decent. It's a typical Maruti Suzuki gearbox, short throws, nice and smooth shifts, and the clutch action also feels nice and springy. Overall, I'll give it a satisfactory score of 8 out of 10. Of course, you would have loved more power, but even without that power, it doesn't feel underpowered at all. Now let me stop the car and give you a summary report. Well, so what's my final verdict with today's video review? Is the Victoris really the car which will give Maruti Suzuki final victory in the very competitive mid-size SUV space? Remember, this car competes with the likes of the Hyundai Creta, the Kia Seltos, the Grand Vitara from Maruti's own house, and of course the Toyota Hyryder as well. So is it the best in the segment? We'll have to wait for a comparison with this car and the Hyundai Creta, but when it comes to pure talents and abilities, this one really comes loaded with tech and features. You of course get added tech like a power tailgate at the back, and also that 5-star safety, crash test safety rating, which no other competitor which I just mentioned has. So that definitely gives this car the edge. It also gets the edge because it has that hybrid engine which gives it great fuel efficiency. We've not driven it today, but it does have that option as well. And of course it also has that 4x4 option, the all grip option, which no other rival has except the Grand Vitara. So on paper, it definitely seems like a very well-rounded and very thoughtful package. What you'll also appreciate, of course, is the fact that it sells from Maruti Suzuki's Arena network, which means that you get a very safe and trusted and reliable ecosystem. It's reliable in terms of the overall engine history, because the performance of the engine, everything is going to be taken care of. It's good in terms of the fuel economy, because Maruti Suzuki cars are known for that. And of course, low running as well as maintenance costs. And of course, when you want to resell after 4 or 5 years or 6 years or 7 years, then you can always go to True Value and they'll give you the best value within the used car setup or the framework that is in India, because you'll be upgrading and buying something else. So if you really want that tried and tested ecosystem and want the best features, the best safety record and those things in a mid-size SUV, and this car definitely has the edge over all its other rivals. But the big question is that, is it really the best car in terms of the feel-good factor, in terms of luxury, in terms of opulence and the features? We'll have to wait and compare it with the Creta, but for now, we'll give it a respectable score of 92 out of 100. As I said, it's a very thoughtful and very well-rounded package, but is it the best? We'll have to wait and put a full comparison test with the Creta. It's bye for now, and thanks for watching.